The second law of power is even worse than the first. And the first was pretty bad. So here we are again for the second week as we dissect the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. The first lesson, we learned that power is basically a tool for manipulation. I countered that. Watch the video. This time around, the second law of power is never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies, which I believe encourages a performative form of friendship and manipulation of perceived enemies. So let's get into it. I honestly feel like it's sad that Robert Greene feels that power is a tool that solely belongs to the self. Power, as Greene delineates it, is the ability to recognize and manipulate people who are best able to further your interest in all situations. Even when I say it, I'm like, whoa, that's kind of crazy, right? Seeing people as objects that you manipulate for your own gain. Already, I'm questioning the logic there. But let's continue. The second law of power is rooted, I'd say, in distrust and genuine, wholehearted actions done by someone for another. Because I think that's what friendship is. Friendship are acts of kindness, acts of generosity, acts of holding space for another. And to Greene, that should inherently cause you to feel distrust because it's probably not true. Okay. The second law of power is a fundamental belief that friendship weakens a person's capacity to be discerning. If someone develops a friendship, it leaves that person vulnerable to envy, ingratitude, dishonesty, and laziness from the so-called friend. So in that effect, power is solely self-serving, and friendships blind people from seeing the true intention of relationships. That's a lot. Let that sink in. This guy believes, and he's done a lot, he, meaning Robert Greene, has done a lot of historical research, right, into this belief or argument. So I'm not trying to discredit that, but in his research over the eons of history, he does focus on men. And he focused on the relationships that men have. So perhaps this is where we immediately diverge because I'm a woman. And when I think about friendships, I don't think about friendships as what can I get from someone. No, some of my friendships, the deepest, longest relationships that I've had have actually been from someone expending kindness for no apparent reason. One of my best friends, we've been best friends since 3rd grade. And our friendship started when every other kid on the playground ran away from me. And yet her name is Ariel, I love her so much, she didn't. And actually she invited me in. And I remember we were walking around the playground together and I was like, do you know why everybody's running away from me? And she's like, no, girl, and I don't understand it. You're amazing. And we became friends instantly. And we've been friends for the past 15 years. Actually, more than 15 years. Way more than 15 years because I'm 31. So whatever. I do know that there's a way in which you can forge friendships purely out of the goodness of someone's heart, with zero intention of gaining anything. But she, my friend, did me a solid at that time. And she continues to show up for me in various ways. Based on what Greene is saying, he's saying that by forging the friendship, especially because I wasn't considering manipulating her, that I was leaving myself vulnerable to, what was those things? Envy, ingratitude, dishonesty, and laziness, which I've seen none of from my friend. Let us continue. So Greene says that the antidote to friendship is the cultivation of enemies. He dead ass encourages us to make enemies, right? If you don't have an enemy, make one. That's what he says in his book. Whoa. Because to Green, enemies are those who are skilled and competent opponents who maintain a conflictual relationship with you. And the conflict sort of necessitates you to sharpen your wits, sharpen your wits, and stay hyper vigilant in their presence. Green also suggests that when you make an enemy and then exploit, his words, not mine, that enemy through emotional reconciliation, which is just called compassion, then you make a loyal friend for life. And unlike a friend, for just like a friend's sake, an enemy who has been shown mercy or compassion when they could have been annihilated and destroyed by you, well, that person will forever be indebted to you and will feel called to continuously prove their loyalty to you. To Green, that's a friend. Or at least that's the only people that you should have in your circle. And to counter that, I want us to like imagine this type of a world. Imagine a world in which you're the person who has all the power within a friendship. So, anything that you said would be met with agreement, right? You find out you have hella yes men, because you'd get to decide when to meet, where to meet, for how long to meet, what's discussed, what's relevant, what's not relevant, right? You have all of the power. And I'm sure that would mean that you would create a relationship, a platonic friendship with like no friction. But I also believe that would mean that there's no true connection at all. I went to a talk by this gorgeous biracial Black woman. Her name is Dr. Marisa Franco, and she's a psychologist and a professor at the University of Maryland. I was shooketh to be in her presence. She's so hot and so smart. Anyways, she explored the definition of friendship as defined by societies over human history, right? Like going all the way back to like Plato, and then like the 1700s, and then like present day, right? So she's looking at friendship over the course of time. And what she says is that friendship has been historically attributed to this like deep and sacred connection between two people or more, organized around the idea of, get this, presence and reciprocity. Sounds like something I'd be into. Similarly, friendship is an avenue for connection between people that has less pressure, less obligation, and less responsibility than even some of our romantic or familial connections. Dr. Franco's research has proved that in friendship, people can access and amplify their ability to experience some of the better emotions: joy, happiness, levity, and from my perspective, hope, optimism. The stats are clear because, again, Dr. Franco has degrees, like she really straight up studied this. And the stats are clear. Out of 106 factors that influence depression, having a confidant is the most powerful. Loneliness and feeling disconnected is more fatal than a poor diet or lack of exercise, and as corrosive as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Friendship, as she says, literally saves our lives. So if Green is arguing that like friendships are fake and really only formulated for the manipulative, self-serving gains, then fake friends can, I guess, give you more perceived power. You can flex all day long on people, right? But you won't actually get to experience the transcendental, life-affirming power of human connection. Feminine power, I'd argue, is infused with life-affirming power. Feminine power is rooted in openness and trust and fun. And I think Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King demonstrate the pulchritudinous of friendship. So despite their class differences growing up, because Gayle was actually like a rich girl and Oprah was very, very poor, they ended up in the same industry at the same news station. And that's where their friendship was seeded, by an act of kindness from Oprah to Gayle. So one day, from what I've learned, Gayle basically couldn't get home during like some snowstorm, and Oprah was like, sleepover? And Gayle slept over, and they've been best friends ever since. That's literally how some of the best friendships are formed. At a sleepover, I'm here for it. So Oprah and Gayle have like really bonded over like their taste in music and their shared identity as Black women who are kind of odd, according to other Black people, right? Like they liked Neil Diamond, and they liked being like super ambitious in white male spaces. Like they were odd. And so they formed a connection over that. And they've been friends for over 50 years. And as they say, their friendship is filled with laughter, these like epic moments, road trips, like moments on in the public sphere and privately, where they really found like awe and wonder, just like at what they were seeing and experiencing together. As explained by Oprah herself, this is a direct quote from Oprah. Something about this relationship feels otherworldly to me, like it was designed by a power and a hand greater than my own, which I think harkens back to the idea that friendship is sacred, friendship is deep, and friendship can transcend. Very different than what Green was talking about, right? How the friend is always trying to get over on you. The friend ain't gonna be grateful. The friend is gonna be lazy and not like, keep you sharp. Nope. I'd say Gayle and Oprah are living examples that that's not necessarily the case. Their ability to wield power in the world as a Black woman was only expanded by their friendship, because they had one another's honest support and deep trust. Oprah and Gayle show up for one another without expectations, and yet they continue to pour into each other, lifting one another up in their high moments and in their low moments. It's a friendship filled with gratitude that they feel is guided by even a higher power. And I mean, if Oprah and Gayle's friendship isn't a testament to the power of friendship and how much power can be cold when you're true and authentic, then honestly, I don't know what is.